Ladies and gentlemen, there's been a murder, and the killer is in plain sight. For at least one person, this is not a game.
Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery, has finally dropped in theaters with a limited release before it goes to Netflix, and this movie lives up to the hype. First off, I want to say, Daniel Craig, he was made for this. Just a cartoon character brought to life, essentially. The ensemble cast in this one's also really great. Edward Norton is the other standout in this movie for me. I feel like he really carried the ensemble cast. Everyone was really able to play off of his character. And a lot of the reveals in this movie were really fun to kind of watch every little detail and then flashbacking and seeing the greater scheme of those. That's the strengths of this movie's for me.
I love this movie. I think it's so funny. I think it's an experience to be shared. I know it's coming to Netflix in like a month, but please, please go to an actual movie theater and see it while you can. He was able to make the story like a lot more expansive, like in terms of scale and everything. But I think placing it on an island made it a lot more intimate. There's no outside parties involved. It was just this shared kind of thing amongst a group of small friends. I thought the first few minutes were slow, but to me, having already seen the first one, it was almost fun trying to pick out what little information and what dialogue they were saying to one another that was going to, pose a real thing later. I guess this movie has kind of trained me to be like hyper observant. Daniel Craig is definitely a standout. I agree. I'm a huge James Bond fan, but I think he was born for this role. Definitely one of the best movies I've seen this year. I think to make a whodunit that actually has rewatchability is very difficult, but I think he's done that so well.
Even though it was more of a whodunit movie and there's going to be a bunch of twists, none of the twists feel unnecessary or empty, in my opinion. Like everything kind of circles back to something else. You catch some stuff here and there in different scenes and it all ends up making sense. And it doesn't seem like a Spider-Man meme movie where it's just like, oh, now we're thinking is this person, and then now we're thinking is this person, and now we're thinking is this person. Everything just seems pretty straightforward. There was kind of one twist where I wasn't on board with it at first, and it was bringing in, I think her name was Helen. When it first happened, I wasn't trying to jump the cop out card immediately, but I was just kind of like, all right, like now we just got, so you're telling me it wasn't Cassandra this whole time, and she played the scene, so she was doing all this stuff so well, like she was so familiar with all these characters, but then it actually ends up working out for me. Like it ends up making a lot of sense, how she's coming back for, I guess, revenge for her sister and trying to get the truth and why everyone is so against her. And we find out later that her sister was dead the whole time.
I actually liked the twin sister thing. It felt more like it was like paying homage to like the classic dramatic tropes of the whodunits. Like, oh, I like the big reveal. She actually had a twin sister. Like it's so silly and inconceivable. Like I kind of like that part of it. Because I think a lot of it does that, right? Like even with the POV shot of the guy shooting the gun, and we have no idea. It's always the gun with the black glove. Why would he even put a black glove? Like why would they even go to that extent? Instead of like being a slave to tropes, it uses tropes as like a cathedral of sorts. It uses all these things, all these conventional things that we know about whodunits, flips them on their head, and when they execute upon them in a way that is familiar to us, it feels like more endearing to me.
If every single one of these movies is going to have a new star-studded cast revolving around LeBlanc and all of his shenanigans, I am there. It'll be like a Marvel cameo at this point, where it's like, "What have you been in the Knives Out movie yet?" Because if not, you haven't really made it then, dog. Unfortunately, I did think it was a weird choice for the COVID stuff, though. Like when I was watching it, I was like, "Really? Like this is only in the movie for like 5 minutes? Why? You might as well just should have ignored it altogether."
I think that's like a big part of it though, because I think it just go ahead and sets the tone for how awful they are. Like for me, it established them as like, okay, fuck these people right off the bat, for them to think like their experiences with COVID is like that of ours, like regular people's. So I think it was like an important point for him to just go ahead and make them as unlikable as humanly possible.
So I do like kind of the parallel, I guess, like seeing Birdie party with a bunch of people not wearing masks,
right? Like,
versus he's like hasn't left the bathroom in a week and is like going mentally crazy.
And she's the one who said like, glad to be, get some sense of normalcy back on the island. It's like, you were just at a party with like 30 fucking. What's changed? And I also thought it was interesting that like LeBlanc was able to solve the case, but that wasn't the end of the story. That didn't wrap everything up. Like the case itself was no longer really the point of the movie, which I thought was cool, because I think that's something that could get a little repetitive, is that we know LeBlanc can like solve a case, but at some point that can't be enough. And I thought that was really cool, where it's like, okay, we get the payoff of the mystery, But that doesn't mean that things are solved, and that doesn't mean that there's a happy ending now.
The only reason this movie isn't perfect for me almost is the beginning's a little slow. I almost wish we had gotten to the flashback scene a little faster, or we got to the dinner scene a little faster. You do get to stew with the characters and kind of like, I feel like it has a lot of rewatchability. I don't know. I feel like you could have shaved a little bit from the beginning, got to the juicier parts quicker. And now I want to talk about our favorite parts of this movie.
Mine is without question when LeBlanc deduces the entire murder mystery that they had set up and
I
just
was
shits all
just
over.
gonna say that.
Like,
I was
like
just gonna say that.
I think, like, for me, I think that has to be everyone's favorite part of the movie because I mean, he just goes through it so it's like effortless for him, and also you get to see like the chinks and the cracks in the personality of Miles because he's definitely fucking super butthurt
Yes.
over there because it's like,
Yeah.
oh no, now everybody knows I'm not the smartest fucking dude in the room
Bro,
now, and
exactly.
like I just thought the entire scene was funny.
I think that was also my favorite part because there's a lot of meat munching going on for Miles. It's like his
Crazy.
entire group of friends are just dick riders. That's exactly why he thinks he's the smartest nigga in the room. And for like the first like 2 hours, he's like, "You guys might figure it out, but it's gonna take you the whole weekend, take you a couple days." And then LeBlanc just stands up, and as he's doing it, his face is turning red. I'm pretty sure he's fucking crying, bro. I love seeing his personality cracks. It's like, bro, you're really not that guy. You're just surrounded by people who believe that you're that guy.
Yeah.
LeBlanc's character kills it for me.
That was my favorite part. And it almost stayed my favorite part, especially because he's like, I don't even want the fucking iPad. I love the flashback scene. And when you do get to the flashback and you have LeBlanc and Helen talking out the plan, I think that was actually my favorite part because you get that LeBlanc's mindset and how he even before he takes a case, he's already looking at every single angle. He wants to know every piece of information. And he kind of figured it out there on the balcony. He really had to go to the island to confirm it.
Yeah, it's like he knows now. He just got to put the pieces together. Like you already know how it's going to look, but I just got to be able to prove it. I just
Yeah.
got to be able to prove it. And also, just like I think both scenes do a good job at establishing this, how it's like a compulsion for him. Dude can't help himself.
Getting into scoring this thing, I think this is one of the best movies of the year.
Mhm.
It was a little slow in the beginning, and that's one of the only things about it for me. But I feel like on a rewatch, you can forgive that slowness as just attention to detail.
Mhm.
I'm probably hovering around 8.5, 9 out of 10 on a rewatch, maybe.
I'm go like I guess I'm gonna get specific, like an 8.8. I guess for me, it is a bit slow at the beginning, but I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing. I still enjoyed it. To me, what I like most about this movie is that you can tell with everyone involved that this is something that they genuinely wanted to make. This is not a work for hire situation like with previous IP and stuff like that. This is very much what everyone wants to be doing, and I think that's cool. I don't think you can really find a theater experience like this in many other places with many other movies at this stage. One this distinct too. I'd argue that this is a mystery whodunit movie, but you will find yourself laughing more than you will during most comedies that you see in theaters.
I'm gonna give it a 9. I don't know what it's missing for me to give it a 10. I do think 2 hours is a long time for a whodunit movie, and I feel like it is kind of almost perfect, but I do feel like it's missing something for me to give it a valid 10.
Let us know your favorite part of Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. Let us know if you're watching it in theaters or if you're going to wait and watch it on streaming. Go ahead and subscribe. And if you like this video, go ahead and give us a like. If you want to check out any of our commentary tracks, we have a bunch of highlights on the channel right now. So go ahead and click the channel. Check out what we got going on. And until the next time, guys. Peace.